Hello fellow old schoolers and welcome to Spice Wars. As the name suggests, this particular series is more about wacky or creative deck techs than about efficiency. Let's go over these decks. The first one is dubbed the Four Seasons, and it's built around the Vidrun Enchantress. And she's a nifty creature. She lets you draw an extra card for each time you play an enchantment. And if you have two of them out, obviously you draw 2 cards for each enchantment you play. And that can actually, in theory, provide a snowballing effect where you just play enchantments and draw the benefits from them and draw even more cards. It's one of those cards that it's good on paper, but it's very, very hard to make work in real life, unfortunately, but we'll see. This deck uses Stasis as an enchantment, and it has Birds of Paradise, and you can play Instill Energy on the Birds of Paradise, and then it can untap outside the untap phase, and you can keep the Stasis going infinitely. You also have a Time Vault set up, and one of the plays here is to animate the Time Vault, and it'll become a creature, but it still retains all its functionality. And then you can play Instill Energy on it. So when you play Instill Energy on it, you can untap it immediately, and then you can tap it to gain a turn. And in that new turn, you can use the Instill Energy to untap again. And you can just keep on going, so that's infinite turns. So it's a 3-card combo, and it's obviously just, if you get that down, you win, because you can just keep attacking, keep drawing, doing whatever. And the deck just packs all sorts of other enchantments to combo into the Vidrun Enchantress, like the Moat. There are no creatures besides a single Sarah Angel for Wincon in this deck. We have 4 land tags, 4 Sylvan Libraries. We have Kismet that will slow the opposing player down. And Kismet also combos well with Stasis, as the opponent gets no untap phase and all his cards comes in tapped. As in that sideboard, that's a Divine Intervention. The most trollish card of the format, I think. If it survives for 2 turns, that's a draw. It's all it does. But I suppose you can use that just to annoy the opponent and perhaps get a better score. I'm not sure. But all in all, it's a hyper-creative amalgamation of different combinations, very, very heavy on the enchantments. And it's up against this guy. We've seen it before. It's the Seafarers adventure, where every card has a purpose and a story to it. It's just one big narrative of the adventure of a certain captain. And the captain might lose shipmates and they'll be drowned. We have all sorts of wacky creatures you'll encounter, like a ghost ship, pirate ships, sea serpent, Sage of Erhnams, Sinbad, Dandans, merchant ships, Serendipity Fleet, and a whole bunch of merfolks with Lord of Atlantis. And all the artifacts are various treasures he'll find on various islands and legendary lands that is in the deck as well. And each of them, of course, it has a script and a story to it. The deck packs Phantasmal Terrain in the sideboard in order to make opponents' lands islands, so the merfolks can attack with Island Walk. And he also has a War Barge in the sideboard, which can be used to give his own creatures Island Walk and thereby get in. And it can also give opponent creatures Island Walk, and then he can assassinate them with those merfolk assassins there. And the deck even includes a Ring of Maroof. I do hope we'll get to see that in play sometime. It can be used to get a card from outside the game. And I don't think the conditions are really established here, so I suppose you can get any card from your collection. In theory, you could actually draw an Ace of Spades or something like that if you were so inclined, but I'm not sure. Perhaps it's only from the sideboard, but I think you can get any card you want with the Ring of Maroof, and it's removed from the game after it's been used. So without further ado, here we go. And just like in the last recording with the Seafarers adventure, he reads a fairy tale for his opponent here, about the deck and about the captain. It's real commitment. And there are no mulligans from these players in this first round. That's a Tularia. It's a treasure island for the Seafarers deck, a legendary blue land that can Tap for blue mana and tap to remove banding from an opposing creature. Four Seasons starts out with a Birds of Paradise. Another Treasure Island, Tropical Island here. And there's the first Lord of Atlantis here. There are no islands here though, from his opponent's side, so the island walk the Lord of Atlantis will not provide him any benefit on the face of it. There's a Sylvan Library and a Mox Pearl, and there's a Time Vault. Okay, so the Four Seasons is rather fast building up its board state here. A swamp from the Seafarers adventure. And there's the Merfolk Assassin. Oh, it uses not to attack with the Lord of Atlantis, so I think it can attack. It doesn't require islands from the opposing player to attack, so I'm not sure what's going on. But he keeps back, and the Lord of Atlantis has a subject now. Another Merfolk that'll get +1/+1. And Island Walk. And as said, the Merfolk Assassin can tap to destroy a creature with Island Walk. And as opposed to Four Season, player got so scared from those Merfolks that he ran off. I'll cut a bit forward here. Okay, here he is. He mustered up the courage. So he plays a Plains. And there's a Wrath of God. Okay, getting rid of all the critters and his own Birds of Paradise. Perhaps he went off and fetched that. Nah. Passing the turn. And the Merfolk captain plays a Mace of Ith and another Lord of Atlantis. They just keep pouring out here. Passing the turn back. And the Four Seasons deck actually chooses to, I think he chose to keep 2 cards in hand here. So that's 8 points of damage. You can do that with the Sylvan Library. For 4 life, you can keep an extra card in hand. So I'm not sure why he does this. That's a really hefty price at this point, especially when he has an unblocked creature against him. So I suppose he's at 10 life now. But he must have drawn something, perhaps something from his combo that can be used. So land tax. The Seafarers adventure was about to play a merchant ship here, but he chose not to. Perhaps he was afraid of another Wrath of God, I'm not sure. Okay, he uses the Mace of Ith after the Lord of Atlantis has provided damage to untap his Lord of Atlantis. And I think he does this because he knows the opposing player has stasis in his deck. And there's a Felber Stone. But it's actually a pretty solid play to do it like this. The Lord of Atlantis will be untapped. Because it's an attacking creature in the end step after it has dealt damage. So it's a not well-known trick you can do with the Mace of Ith, where you can untap your own creature like this. Anyway, the Four Seasons sacrifices a turn in order to untap the mana vault, the Time Vault. Here's another Merfolk. And the Lord of Atlantis comes over for a swing and untaps again, just to get a single swing in after any stasis. I think he draws an extra card here. I think he'll be dead if he gets another attack from those 2 creatures. Oh, but he gets an angel out. Just in the nick of time. And no island, so there aren't no island walk at this point. So he passes the turn, and the Four Seasons chooses to sacrifice a turn again and untap his Time Vault. So he has an extra turn in the bank at this point. Just as a fail-safe. He can't attack with the Mace with the Serra Angel though, because there's that Mace of Ith. That's a Chaos Orb. Uh-oh. Yeah, if he can use it on the Serra Angel as he does so here. Does he have a Disenchant? I'm not sure he plays with Disenchant, the Four Seasons deck. And that's one dead Serra Angel. Oh no. Here they come. Okay, that's game. He couldn't survive that. I think it was a mistake to keep that many cards in hand when you are on the defensive like this. Unless he could combo off it immediately. I think the Four Seasons was perhaps a bit too greedy here. But actually the guy playing the deck is a very knowledgeable and skilled Magic player, so he must have had his reasons. He has, I think he's lived off playing tournaments at one point actually. Another Birds of Paradise and a Sol Ring, so solid starts from these guys. There's that Time Vault again. He plays with 3 of them. So they'll get out fast. Okay, he makes the plane an island, so now he can make the island walk happen here. With his Lord of Atlantis and War Barge, I'm sure he's sideboarded that in as well. That's a Kismet. As said, any permanent coming out from the Seafarers deck at this point will come in tapped, like we see here. So he can't use it in the first turn. Looks like a lot of Atlantis again. Oh, that's an assassin. Comes in tapped as well. And another Time Vault. Okay. There's a War Barge. That was what I talked about. He can use that combination to assassinate creatures. And he can also use the War Barge to give some of his own creatures island walk. And since he has made an island out of his opponent's lands here, he can get in through that. But that Merfolk Assassin won't be used to kill that many creatures at this point. There's only a single Serra Angel in the other guy's deck. So it can be used as a 1-2 attacker at this point, but that's it. Oh, scratch that. He can slice up the Birds of Paradise, as he does so here. And coming to think of it, the Four Seasons deck also packs 4 Viduran Enchantress, so that assassin still has some targets. Treasure Island coming down again. Ooh, that's bad news. That's a Serenity Befried. It comes in tapped though. So the Four Seasons deck really gotta make something happen here. Has a lot of creatures and his deck doesn't have any blockers. He does play with those Wrath of Guards though, balance. Really? So he sacrifices a turn by untapping that Time Vault. I'm actually not sure what will happen now. What if he taps the Time Vault and uses that to untap the other Time Vault? Can he keep on going like that forever? Thereby forcing a draw? Would be bad sport, but I'm wondering what the ruling is if one can do that. They'll just tap and untap each other, sacrificing a turn and gaining a turn. Anyway, the Seafarers deck Sonic blasts Four Seasons face. Okay, so he gets a Silver Library. He passes the turn again. He's not afraid of those creatures. That is crazy. That's a merchant ship, not the greatest threat, luckily. Takes a point of damage from the Serenity Befried, and now he attacks for 4 again. So he's at 6 points of life at this point. Has an Instill Energy. Not much to work with here. If he had an animate artifact, he couldn't I'm not sure. Yeah, perhaps he could play it. Yeah, he could. Then he could animate the Time Vault and cast, in the same turn, cast Instill Energy, and that will be game. There's a Chaos Orb, though. Attacks again. This is insanely risky from the Four Seasons deck that he didn't use the Time Vault before. Ivory Tower won't do him any good. Didn't draw any removal here. Does he have an answer in hand? There's a whole army of Seafaring decks. No, that's game. It was like the Four Seasons deck fizzled a bit. But sometimes it's like this when we're watching Spice games. It's really hard to get the combos off. So for me personally, much of the enjoyment of them is watching the decks and the creativity of them, and the new combos and attack paths that are being experimented with. The spicy brewers are sometimes the avant-gardes of the format. Sometimes they strike gold, something really works, and that can then be taken and refined by other players, and then a new tournament archetype is born as well, from something new and creative. And sometimes it's just fun to see something new. And with that in mind, here's the next matchup. It's the Tropical Twister. We've seen him, I think we've only seen him once on this channel, which is a bit of a shame because I play with him every so often. He's one of the dudes from the High Mountain playgroup, and it's right here. He has a single Mahamushi Jin as a kill con, and otherwise it revolves around the Time Twister, twisting into a full hand and then Storm Seekering the opponent out. And it can also use Amnesia to empty the other guy's hand afterwards. Uses those artifacts there, I can't remember the name of them, as not something, but they can be sacrificed to destroy the other guy's graveyard. So that's a valid target just before a Time Twister as well, and you can actually win by casting that Time Twister several times, regrowthing and recalling it, and cracking the other guy's graveyard, and at some point he'll be out of cards in his deck and lose by that. And the deck survives by using Mazes of Ith and Drop of Honeys as creature removal. And Drop of Honey is an unorthodox way of creature removal. It works like this giant blob of honey that each upkeep kills the creature with the lowest power. The creature simply hasn't got the strength to get out of the drop until there are no more creatures to swallow, and then Drop of Honey will disappear into the graveyard. And the opposing player is Erhnam on ice. It's a bit like Erhnam, but instead of Armageddons, it uses Ice Storms to provide to gain some mana advantage, and uses Llanowells and power to get out an early big beater in the form of the Erhnam Djinn, and then get in through that. And I think this is actually a very aggressive variant of the Erhnam on Ice archetype. This one has lightning bolts in it as well, and a lot of critters like 4 Savannah Lions and 4 Argothian Pixies. So it'll be very aggressive and fast and trying to close the game early. There's also a Hurricane in the deck. And that altered Prodigal Sorcerer in the foreground there, it's not in the deck, but the guy actually won the prize for getting most drunk at this tournament. So kudos to for that. So here we go. And Tropical Twister starts out with a Library of Alexandria, but he has mulligan down to 5 cards, and it gets immediately strip mined. He's on the right. Erhnam on Ice is on the left. He has mulligan down to 6 cards here. Both have a factory in play. Oh, that's a strip mine from the Tropical Twister. And a Chaos Orb. Okay. A lot of mana from the Erhnam on Ice here. Putting out a Sylvan Library in order to get better draws later game, but it gets Chaos Orb out. Is that? I'm not sure if that was a valid flip, but no. Okay, it actually missed. Oh man. Too bad. It's funny how sometimes... Oh, there's an Erhnam gen. Uh-oh. It's funny sometimes in these games, you can have like 100 chaos or flips when you play just relaxed over the kitchen table, and then sometimes when people go to these tournaments, myself included, when there's something at stake, you tend to miss more. It's so annoying. Anyway, he had to regrowth the chaos orb back here, and now he takes 6 points of damage. Though he chooses to, he strip mines the factory. There's an Agothian pixie. He's really under pressure. Lost so much tempo with that missed chaos orb. Though he regained some of it with the time walk. With the time walk just played there. I think he should use the chaos orb on the Erhnam gen now, before the draw step. The other guy can draw into disenchants and crumbles or whatever he plays with. Okay, so he elects to keep an extra card in hand from that Sylvan Library, paying 4 life, and then attacking with everything. And putting down another Erhnam gen. Oh, okay, that's why he didn't use the Chaos Orb. He had a mana drain in hand. Good stuff. So he countered the second Erhnam gen. Oh, let's hope he hit me. Oh, thank God. It was not very secure, that flip, but it hit. At least it did that. And now he has a defending factory against the Erhnam on Ice factory there. But the Agothian pieces can get right in. You can't... I think you just can't do damage to it. Oh, and he Ice Storms the factory. That gets countered though, luckily. Oh, and he tries to block the factory, but his factory gets bolted right out. Fast bond, it doesn't have the life to use it, I think. Uses those fast bonds after draw 7 in order to just explode with getting earlier amnesia out and stuff like that. Another 4 points of damage coming in here. The Llanowilds and the Bolt, that's game. Oh man. I think besides that, it's a pretty rough matchup for the Tropical Twister deck, because he uses Maces of Ith as a primary line of defense against mid-range, but the Erhnam on Ice has 4 Ice Storms in its deck and is very fast and aggressive. But I think one of the pivotal moments in this game was actually that missed Chaos Orb. It allowed the Erhnam on Ice to get better draws, and he could just pick the big beaters, and he could actually also pay life for extra cards, because the Tropical Twister is not that aggressive. So it's fine to lose a bit of life against him early on. He can't usually burn you out that fast. Okay, round 2 after sideboard. So Agothian Pixies coming out. And he Ice Storms an island. It gets power synced though. Oh, there's a desert. Excellent. It can be tapped to do a point of damage to an attacking creature. So if he attacks with that Agothian Pixie, the desert will kill it. And there's the drop of honey. Now it's starting to munching the Agothian Pixies, but it's not like he attacks and the desert kills one. It's not like the Abyss. It's the owner of the drop of honey's upkeep. It works. It's not like the Abyss where it's each upkeep. Okay, so he cleared the table from those Agothian Pixies, but there's still that factory. And we see the problems with a counter heavy deck here. He has a lot of difficulties with removing that factory. He has a lot of counter spells in hand. There's an amnesia. Gets bolted, and he gets an Erhnam gen, a Swords to Plowshares, and another bolt. That's great. But that factory does a ton of work, and he draws another Agothian Pixies here. Oh, okay, they come over closing the game. So just a quick little match from the Erhnam on Ice, just tramples all over the Tropical Twister here. You see a bit of the sideboarding here. Armageddon's Mace of Ith and 3 Red Blasts. I wonder why he took the Mace of Ith in. Perhaps he took them in. I think that's a missed sideboard option. But the Red Blast makes perfect sense, and so does the Armageddon actually. The Tropical Twister needs a lot of mana to function properly. So that was a series of some more unorthodox games. Now we're going back to the top 8 of the tournament, and the next few videos will be featuring the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals of this huge event. Exciting stuff. Thank you for watching this series of recordings, and I will see you next time in the final chapters.